think every single day I see more and more cat hair on my microphone. It sits on my desk, and my white cat, Lucy back here, loves rubbing her face on soft things. And my mic is a pretty soft thing. So please excuse the little Lucy haze. Hello everyone, welcome on in. We are going to play some games, make some games. Last week we showed off our new Steam page on Elixir Emporium. I will plug that again in a second, but that's been exciting. We've got, I think it's up to about 30 wish lists now, which is, a pretty big chunk. All the big channels say you need like 10,000 or so before you release, but I'm pretty excited to get about 30 so far. Let me drop a little link in the chat, so if you want to go check that out, that's not it. You can check it out. Elixir Emporium is a crafting RPG that uses a lot of really cool AI stuff under the hood to manipulate the game data as you play. So you play as an alchemist who can combine items, and as you're combining items, it's actually generating new recipes, new items, and some other new stuff in the game. So if you go out and do a bunch of fishing and cooking, it'll basically create a bunch of items related to that as you use these items and, do things with them throughout the game. If you prefer to be like a woodcutter or a blacksmith or something else, that's where all the new items are going to generate. So it's pretty fun to see the game kind of evolve around what the player is doing, whether they know it or not. So it's been cool to see. The other co-founder at our game studio is working on a lot of really cool AI stuff for the NPCs themselves. So right now we've got some pretty basic quests in place where NPCs have a little AI brain and they generate problems for themselves based on their profession and, some basic details in the world. So a blacksmith is like, hey, my metal's too soft to work into swords. Do you have anything that can cool down hot metal or something like that? And there's no specific solution. There's a lot of open-ended solutions you could go with. And, it's a crafting game, so you're meant to go and craft whatever you want that you think would help. But Andrew's working on a really cool, really advanced AI brain for all these NPCs to make quests a lot cooler. Also give them a lot of opinions and thoughts and memories and stuff that they can incorporate more of the actual game world into their quest plot lines. Lots of really cool stuff coming in there, but not this week. We got our Steam page. Actually, I'll go show that off real fast. But, while we're sharing that with some of our friends and family and getting some initial feedback, and polishing up the last few stages of our demo to share, we're kind of letting it simmer a little bit, and we are working on some other stuff in the background. We have a Chroma Golem API that powers a lot of this AI stuff, and I'm adding image generation to it right now, so it's going to be exciting for a lot of things that we're working on, but also exciting in that other game developers will be able to add image generation to their games. There's a few services that do it out right now, but none of them really work well inside games because if you use actually I probably shouldn't name drop people, but there's some that are pretty generic, I guess I can say OpenAI, but obviously they go down all the time, and there's problems with having your API key to an OpenAI in a distributed game where your players could literally just open up, take your key, and then generate whatever they want. There's all the generic stuff for image generation out there, and then there's also the game-specific stuff, and that's more geared towards using it in your Unity editor, generating textures and stuff and applying it to the project. But there's not a lot of stuff out there right now for generating images as a response to player actions, when they're playing the game, and actually incorporating those back into your game. So we use it in Elixir Emporium for like, as you're crafting new items, obviously those items are going to need stats and names and descriptions and data and stuff, but they're also going to need images for like in your inventory, or an image for what it looks like on the ground, or other sorts of images. And so we generate all those as well to make sure that all the items and things that you create in the game look as good as the items it starts with. But let's see here. If I go over yonder, boop over to here. Let me show off the Elixir Emporium Steam page real fast. And then I'll be done with it, because we are probably not going to work on it this stream. We might do some. I've been meaning to rework kind of the camera of how dialogue with NPC looks. Lots of cool stuff about to be done, but I might hold off until we have the new NPC brains for that. But this is where we're at. It's a big open world. You can use any item on any object, which is also really cool. So if you craft like a fiery battle axe and you use that on a tree, you're probably going to get like charred wood. So it's creating all those recipes and those items on the fly. This is the very first trailer that I made, so please don't judge it too hard. But you know, you got NPCs, you got buying and selling. I like to go out and collect a bunch of materials and then craft some stuff that I can sell for more, or go around to each of the NPCs, buy some stuff, combine it, sell it back for more. You got some skills. You've got crafting, blacksmithing, lots of work in progress stuff, but it all works. So we still need to make it look a lot nicer, but all the systems are in place, and there's a few more we have planned that'll layer in really nicely. So really excited to see where it goes. If this looks fun to you, go give it a wish list on Steam. We've got the link in the chat, and you can get notified when it's out. But that is all to say, a couple weeks ago we dusted off You Are Not Alice. It's a hacking game where you pretend to be Alice. You take over a company computer of an intern, and basically the idea of this game is you have their version of Slack or Discord, and you're talking to all of her coworkers, trying to send them the virus and get them to run it. So then you can actually take over their computer and talk to their coworkers and so on. If you're interested in that, go check it out. It was 2 streams ago. We have all our old streams up on YouTube as well. And you can also play that for free in your browser at chromagolem.itch.io. White on white text does not work well. Let me minimize this real fast as a little spoiler. But we worked on that a couple weeks ago. We've been working on Elixir Emporium. This is the very first like 2D demo that we did, which is a fun one, but doesn't have like the world or harvesting of objects or anything, or even NPCs in there. Actually, it does have NPCs. But we've been hard at work on this for months and months and months. Just worked on this. I think we're going to dust off Word Wars. I opened it up this morning and started adding in a few like new scenes, just to get it to look a little nicer, but we're gonna add some more stuff. Before I get too far into it, I guess I do want to just make sure I'm not like echoing or sounding weird on stream. Okay, cool. I sound great. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna play Word Wars real fast so I can show off what it did look like, because I've made a couple changes so far, and then we will jump right into Unity and get to work. Alrighty, so I don't know if anybody played Nexus Word Wars back in the original StarCraft arcade, but this is loosely styled on that. Basically, you have some resources, and your base is going to be automatically spawning units that go and attack the enemy base. You see these units on the bottom, and you see their resource costs. In order to get resources, you just get them by destroying the enemy units. So if the enemy spawns this stone guard that costs 2 minerals to them, if you kill that unit, you get that 2 minerals. So it's a tug of war. Excuse me. Got the hiccups today. It's a tug of war back and forth, but with a little bit of layered depth in that you have both minerals and gas to spend. And so different units, different strategies might use different resources. You also have food as a resource of just having a cap on the units. There's a lot to say about this game. Obviously, it's very, very basic. I just wanted to make a typing game with a little twist originally. There's no like UI, there's no title screen, there's no instructions, it's a lot of weird stuff. But it is a typing game at its core. Each unit that spawns has a word above its head. So in order to destroy that unit, you just type that word. I've got a few comments back from people playing it originally saying like, yeah, it's a little weird to have to press enter to open the text box, type the word, and press enter again to submit it. That's just what StarCraft did, so that's naturally what I did, but we've already made a couple changes this morning, so that should be a little bit better. I'll show it off in a minute. But I'll go ahead and maybe I'll start a normal game so I can actually talk while typing. But you see enemy is spawning units. You got like sharpshooters who can attack from a distance. We've got little knights that we're spawning. We can press 1, 2, 3, 4 to spawn different types of units. And we can go ahead and be typing the units that we want to destroy. So Kiss destroys that guy. Oh, I pressed back on my mouse. Well, time to jump back in. I definitely would have won that. Let's try this once more. I'll play a hard one now. I don't think there's anything else that I need to say. You can also type the word on top of the base to do a little base damage. Also, your units fight their units, so even if you're not typing stuff, there's still a little bit of like tension in the middle, little tug of war. There's some strategy in there of like deciding what units you might want to type their word for and destroy. And on the other end of the spectrum, like the enemy simulates typing your units' words occasionally, so sometimes you might see your units blow up. That's from them firing it back at you. This is obviously single player, but could be a fun multiplayer game. We'll see. But let me try a hard game, see if we can win it. Probably, well, I was going to say we'll bump up the difficulty later, but we'll see if I actually do it. It's pretty hard on stream to both talk and type. Maybe I should have turned my mic towards my keyboard here. So I'm going to switch over to like our big guys, or we've got a lot of gas, so maybe we'll do sharpshooters. But they're kind of swarming us now. Yeah, they're getting to us. They got us. Alright, so I also want to double check that like your words per minute and things are accurate. Seems pretty low, but we'll see. I'll do a easy game real fast just so we can win and I can show off typing the base words. Zygomatic just does the same thing but does damage to the base instead of actually destroying the unit. Like spider destroys the unit. So we will crush them real fast. Maybe spawn in some golems. There's actually different word lists on each unit, so these puny guys have short, easy words. golems cost more resources, so they're going to spawn with more complex words, longer words, in the same way that like your bases have the hardest words. Oh right, we're not spawning any units. I'm like, why are we not damaging them? So let's just do a bunch of sharpshooters, I guess. We better not lose here too. Quas qui centennial scrumptious bibliophile. And I think another fun thing that I'm planning to do here is obviously this is very, very similar in vibes to StarCraft, which has multiple races. It would be fun to get some other races that have different word lists, like I'm learning a little bit of Swedish. It'd be fun to go against some alien race where all the words are Swedish words or something like that. Could be fun. But yeah, that's where the game is on itch right now. I will hop on over to our Unity editor where I've made just some very, very basic changes, setting up some of these scenes. We've got a title screen now. We've got a work in progress race screen, which I probably won't do today. We have some basic instructions that will show if they click on how to play on the start. And then maybe like a difficulty screen with some stats for win and loss streaks. I've only just barely designed these and I haven't hooked them up as buttons or anything. But we also have the battle scene, which I switched to an isomorphic camera. I moved it around to make it a little bit more cinematic. And I also swapped out the enemy with more of an alien race. And gave them just one unit so far. So this little guy here. It looks pretty funky. It's got some Zerg vibes. Hey Allison, thank you for coming on in. I'm doing good. How are you? I'll show off what the kind of intro cinematic is for fighting this Zergy race. So it all kind of grows pretty slowly, spawns some units that come towards you. We've got our units colored in the same sort of system we had before, where we had the mirrored units and it was red versus blue. So we've got, this is the base unit and its version with red. Awesome, thank you for asking. You play on console or PC? I play on PC most of the time. I actually haven't had a console in a while other than a Switch. But I do love a good sit down for the day, snuggle up to the TV and play a game on console. How about you? What do you play? I am noticing there's probably some sort of bug here where maybe their attack range isn't long enough to actually attack these guys, or vice versa. Your all-time favorite game. I love to watch playing games. My all-time favorite game might date me a little bit, but Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo. Great game. Really good story, really good like art, I'd say, especially for the time. But I love me some good pixel art, and really cool mechanics. There's a lot of like time travel, so you can go back in the past to change stuff, and it changes in the future. I followed you on Twitter as well. Can I get a follow back on Twitter if it's possible? Yeah, after the stream, I'll go ahead and follow you back. Any upcoming events or games in your stream? Actually, funny you would ask that. I'm actually going to start a Minecraft stream, like a weekly stream with my wife soon. We've been itching to do that, and I also do try and stream. I play a lot of games. I only just streamed Disco Elysium last week, I think, for the first time. I'd never played that game before. Not at all what I was expecting, but yeah, I play a lot of like Dota, Diablo, Overwatch, Minecraft, Kenshi, RimWorld. I'm playing Yakuza Like a Dragon right now. I'm actually streaming that to my computer, so I don't know how well that would stream back. But I play all those all the time, so I'm like, I could just stream those. If there's any that sound fun, yeah, I could definitely stream it. Also, thank you for the follow, by the way. I normally get some sort of little celebration on Twitch when that happens, but no worries. Maybe it's broken. Yeah, I play a lot. What would you say your all-time favorite game is? And I think in this, the thing that we really need to work on is the UI, I'd say. So I'm gonna poke around. I was poking around a little bit before the stream to see if there's any nice like free UI asset on the asset store that I might be able to use. And I'm thinking of the old like StarCraft UI that was just kind of like really light borders on really neon color. And something like this might actually be nice. I might want to up the like contrast or vibrance or something, but if we're building out a bit of UI that has probably a top bar, so we've got some background on our resources, and also some sort of bottom bar for selecting our units or doing some other settings. Maybe we can, let me see how easy it is to bring this in. But maybe that's what we'll use. I'm always a little sus of the package manager dependencies because they're a little bit harder to undo. Let me make sure everything's pushed up. Yeah, looks good. So at least we can see what changed. Things looking good. We probably don't need the demo. Let me make sure that the render pipeline is built in. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's grab the demo for now so we can see it. But if this is a nice like basic UI, it might be nice. Let's check the reviews on this actually. Does not work with universal pipeline, built-in only, that's fine. We're using built-in only. Alright, so nobody seems to be like, yeah, it doesn't work. Sure. Okay, let's see what we got. Slim UI. Let's go check out their demo. Just see if it works in general. Fancy. I don't know that we need that sort of fanciness, but I do like the animations. I'm probably just gonna take these like boxes. I really just need the boxes. Just so we have a bit of UI that isn't literally just a black box with text on it. Let's see what these prefabs look like. Ooh. Okay, so that's like a sub menu. This is what a menu would look like. Got some corners. So it's literally just the button prefab. Alright, that's fine. We can work with that. And is the canvas rotated? I mean, honestly, that might be a little overkill. Could just take the panel frames. We'll take the fonts as well. But I do think, I mean, this is a pretty chill stream. I'm going to put on some music in the background. And put on my headphones so I can just vibe as well. And we'll see what we can do. Let's see what we got today. Maybe we do... The ultimate nerd. I dig it. So let me check my OBS settings. Spotify's in. And let me make sure that that doesn't save through on the VOD. Cool. Alright, just gonna check to see how loud I am on the music. You know, I could probably turn it down a little bit. Alrighty, let's get back into this. So this is the UI we're going to be swapping out. Literally just white text, black background. Sometimes that's all you need, but sometimes you want it to look a little nicer. So we're going to take a look at our unit preview. We'll probably redo how that looks, but I do want to get some background just in general on our panel. Which... Let's disable these so we can see through a little bit better. Bring this back to white so we get our design. And let's see what we got. Yeah, I don't think any of those are gonna stretch nicely. But maybe we can get just a nice like color. Say how to play. Does fit really well in the space. Could actually... It's not terrible. Gives it a nice like highlight. We probably actually want that background to be dark, and then we'll highlight the selected one with the panel frame. So let's just go back to what we had. Maybe just a little bit of texturing with something like that. And then I guess we just go right into redesigning this guy. So have a background here. That's where we want to do our fancier background, and we can layer a frame on top. We might generate some new backgrounds for this. Trying to think of how we want to lay out the UI on top of it, because we're probably not going to keep the same UI, so it doesn't matter that it's covering up the corners and stuff. But maybe something like this. Let's go ahead and I guess I can be doing this on stream. I'm just going to generate some other backgrounds, but back towards like, what's this ratio? Probably like, I mean, 16 by 9 is going to be not right, but it's going to be close. So just something that we might be able to use instead. We'll see if we get anything. But now we can add on a border, which we can put our frame on, if we can remember what it was called. Could have been that. I don't think it was. What did we just grab? Panel. So this will give us a nice highlight for if that unit is selected. Although I don't really like the haziness it adds outside of the border. I'm not really liking the design. We'll see, we'll see. None of these are really the vibe. It is better at least, but maybe it's more one of those things we chisel out. Let's just keep on rolling a little bit. Not sure if this song is the vibe either. We'll see, we'll see. What's my ideal RimWorld colony? Now that's an interesting question right there. You know, I always end up making the giant mega base, which I don't like. The last like 4 or 5 playthroughs that I've done, I've tried so hard to get like a town going. With lots of like buildings and walkways and parks and very specialized buildings. But I don't know if you play with a lot of mods, but what I've been thinking I want to try next that might end up being really, really fun is like a nomad playthrough. I just wish there was a way to take your base with you. And what I actually found the other day, let me see if I can find the mod I'm thinking of. I wish I could just remember the name. There's a mod that lets you build a little basically piece of furniture that has, it's basically a portal into another map. And I was thinking the last time I was playing that it'd be cool to have some sort of base you could take with you. I think it'd be really fun to do a like nomad run where you're traveling around the world and you're taking your base with you in that way. Let me see if I can find this. What was it called? RimWorld map in a map. Also, welcome in. That's a great question. I love playing RimWorld, and I sometimes stream it, but I never get anybody joining in to watch because I think it's a lot more fun to play than to watch sometimes. But I love the game. What is that mod? Do you know the mod that I'm thinking of, perchance? I guess I can literally just go look at my... mods I have installed. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it'd be really, really cool to build a portable base. I think that might be ideal because the thing with RimWorld, I always build up my base and that I get really like fine-tuned into the environment. So I've got my farming schedules down, I've got my defenses down, and you build up this town or this super mega base and you're like, all right, that it's fun, but now it's kind of, it plays itself because I mean you've handled most things minus like bigger raids and stuff. But I think it might be fun, especially with all the mods that add new biomes and enemies, different like geological landforms and stuff. It'd be fun to bring your base around and see if you can get some new challenges that way while also building up the space, kind of mitigating that I mean, I do the same thing in Minecraft where I spend literal days running around forever looking for the perfect place to build up a giant base or a giant little town, and then you just have the same surroundings over and over again, and you're like, I want to be somewhere new now, but I don't want to take my base down and move it somewhere else or start over somewhere else. So I think that'd be fun. You know, I could just ditch the stream and play RimWorld. I won't do that yet, at least. But I will load it up just so I can see my mods, because I want to see this mod. I want to show it to you. We'll see how well my graphics card holds up with Unity, RimWorld, and streaming. We'll see. While that loads, I'll see if I can wrap up some of this UI stuff I was working on. We're working on a typing game right now. Idea, go into dev mode and just make constant raids against your own colony. That would be fun. Like a way of survival almost. There's actually, I have seen a mod for adding a storyteller that I think it's every day or every few days, he'll do increasingly large raids. So it's kind of like a base defense type playthrough. Be cool to have a few days at least to build up your base or be able to trigger it somehow, but I like that idea. I'm actually really, really bad at the combat in RimWorld, I'd say. Maybe not necessarily bad as much as I really dislike making kill boxes, so I'd rather my folks just die than build kill boxes. But it is nice to set up a nice kill box and maybe do a defense style. Charles, do you play a lot of RimWorld? How long you been playing it? When's the last time you played it? Also thinking through some of the other mods I was looking at, it'd also be fun to do. There's a mod for The Witcher. I've never actually played The Witcher, but they do have a lot of really cool animals. And in this mod, you get a new quest type where it's like, go out and slay this. I don't think this is it. Go out and slay this creature. And I think it'd be fun to do some sort of playthrough like that where you're more of a mercenary that does combat elsewhere. Let's see here. The Witcher. What are you going to give me? Or maybe they did remake it into The Witcher Trials. You have almost 700 hours. That's awesome. I think you actually have me beat. Oh. I technically have 800, but I bet a lot of that is just like falling asleep, playing it late at night and leaving it on overnight. So we're probably pretty similar there. Let's see here. Alrighty. Mods. For one. Yeah, so we've got RimWorld Witcher Monster Hunt. That's one that is really cool because it adds a bunch of like really big, like on par with man, it's been too long since I played the big thrumbos, like a bunch of monsters like thrumbos that you get a quest of like, hey, go to this area and hunt down this monster and we'll reward you. That'd be a really fun playthrough. But what the heck is Pocket Dimensions? That's what I was trying to get this whole time. 699 hours on record. Last played July 14th. That makes me want to play more. Nice. That's awesome. Do you ever stream RimWorld, or are you more of a player and watcher? Yeah, Pocket Dimensions, very cool. So you build a pocket dimension portal, like you craft one, and you can choose the size of the map. It takes more resources for larger maps. And then you can just go, like, send individual pawns from your map into that map and vice versa. I see they've set up a prison inside one. I actually tried setting up a power source, bunch of generators and stuff inside mine, but unfortunately I don't think you can send power back out. You can only send it in. But I was playing with RimWorld of Magic and doing a little town of wizards, and I ended up not using it that much because just couldn't really find anything. I didn't really have like a big prison or anything I wanted to store in there, but it'd be really, really cool to build a base in there and take that with you, I think. I'm gonna play games and watch. Oh, heck yeah. Well, thanks for coming on in. Thank you for all the good chats, the good questions. Thanks for stoking my nostalgia on RimWorld. I probably am not going to play it right now, but maybe if I don't get a lot of stuff done on the stream, maybe I will. Maybe I will later. We'll see. I also stream non-game dev stuff pretty often. I try to stream all the games I play, or not all of them, but I play a lot of games and I try to stream often. So hopefully, maybe one of these days I'll stream some RimWorld. We're working on a typing game here that I haven't worked on in a few months, so it's taken me a minute to get back into it. So feel free to play some games, hang out, and just chill with me. And if you got any music requests, let me know. Have you heard of Rat Knight? I have not. I assume that's a game. Or is it the he's a cool YouTuber that plays RimWorld, like a lot of RimWorld. Okay. Give him a subscribe, see what he's all about. Don't mind my passwords here. No, I don't have the password manager here. I'll give him a follow after the stream. I'll check him out. I watch a lot of I guess I'm not gonna see it if I'm not logged in. Man, I'm so bad at names and I'm so tired today. I'm so sorry. I want to say like Nobby. What the heck is his name? RimWorld. Newbert. Not Nobby. I watch a lot of Newbert. But I'll have to check out this guy, especially since some of these are pretty wild. It's always cool to see how new people play. Or not new people, but it's always cool to see these new styles of play, I'd say. I want to see what his bases kind of look like. That is a pretty base right there. I used to never do hallways. And I just did these sort of mega bases, just connecting room to room. Hallways really make it look so nice, I'd say. I love it. And I'm seeing some stuff that I don't recognize, so there's probably some cool mods going on in here. Yeah, I'll have to check them out. Thank you for the recommendation. Alright, so let's see how these new panels look in game. Probably not going to be much different, but it's a little more polished. I think we want to only do this highlight effect on the selected unit. Noticing... Oh, I see. Okay. I mean, that's kind of a cool highlight effect with only the selected one being transparent. That stats panel is pretty terrible, though. Still. Let's see. Does this scale up correctly? Kind of, not really. We'll work on that later. Just doing everything in 1080p for now, because that's the dimensions you need for itch. We definitely want to make this text box a lot nicer. Let's go ahead and only apply this nice gold highlight to the selected unit. But we're going to need to go look at the code to see what's going on when we select a unit. I do not remember where that lives. Okay. When you press 1, 2, 3, or 4, change auto spawn selection. Okay, we've got a highlight method. Cool, cool, cool. So in here we can just toggle on or off highlight effects. So let's go take a look at that. This is on Unit Preview UI Controller, Coolio. And we've got our, is this our highlight? Yeah. So we can set that reference and literally just turn it on when we want to highlight that panel and turn it off when we don't. We will turn it off by default. Set that reference here. And let's see how that looks. Can't remember if we do highlight at the very beginning. Okay, so that looks good. Definitely a lot better, I'd say. We did lose our resource icons though, so we'll get those back. I like my warnings just filling up the console because I left comments for myself. Let's see here. Let's improve this stats panel just a tad. Maybe a different background will do it. How does my game world work? Is it like travelers or a nation? Do you mean in this game or the game I normally work on stream is called Elixir Emporium. Neither of them are very large yet. In this game, it's literally just a little 1v1 typing game, so we don't really have an overworld effectively. But in Elixir, we have more of a open world type situation. I can show that off actually. It's a lot cooler to look at on stream. In this game, yeah, it's more of like I don't know if you've played many typing games, but like Type Racer. Just like a really simple in and out. You play a round or two when you're just wanting to warm up your fingers or something. You just type. I'll type. So yeah, the type of player I'm shooting for is the type of player who would load up Type Racer or another game. You want to get into typing really fast. I don't think I've ever seen someone type that fast before. My wife actually types way faster than me. Shout out to her. But especially these like competitive multiplayer typing games, you get a lot of people who type really, really fast, and they want to show that off to other people. So the goal here is, in the same way that I can just load this up and jump into a game. I think these were real people. Oh, they need me to take a short typing test. But you can jump into a game with other people and basically flex your muscles at them because you type so fast. I want to do the same thing here. In this game, effectively, you're typing to destroy the enemy units. But I want to layer in a little bit more strategy because I'm a StarCraft nerd. And in this game, you've got some resources on your units. In destroying the enemy units, you get back the resources that they spent. So it's a little more tug of war and strategy on top of typing well. But we're rolling on in. We're going to take them this time. There's this one game, Gladdyhoppers. There's like an open world side option where I think it will really fit well with this game. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll do this test in a minute. Gladdyhoppers. A wacky 2D physics gladiator battle simulator. With a mix of 2D physics and 2D animation, offers a fun and original gameplay, quite unlike your average gladiator mobile game. Interesting. How does the open world work in this game? I do wish I could mute it. It's meant to be a mobile game. I'll try to find the dev for you. Okay, cool. It's almost like co-op with how many buttons I'm pressing here. Okay, career mode, multiplayer is cool. Let's try a quick fight against a computer. Yikers. I'm unsure why I keep swinging my sword. I wasn't pressing anything, I swear. Maybe it queues up commands. Well, I got wrecked. Okay. I mean, I like it. It's very well polished, I'd say. Oh, round 2. Got him. I sent it in the Discord server. Okay, cool. Let me check it out. I'm happy to just hang out today. Let's see. Oh, nice. 699 hours. Here's the dev for the game. Okay. I'll check that out after the stream. Awesome. And also, welcome on in. Anybody who wants to check out the Discord server, more than welcome. Come on in. More the merrier. We're a bunch of game devs and gamers just trying to build a little community. Andrew and I at Chroma Golem are trying to do some really cool stuff with AI in games, and it's also cool to see it's like what people are working on, what people think about what we're working on, get some feedback, share it all around. But I'll come back to this after I've watched that video. It seems like a fun game. I'm going to do this typing test because I got to flex my muscles some more, but then we'll get back to some code. Oh boy. Oh, it's timed. Sure. I think I lost a few seconds at the beginning. I failed. RIP. I don't care about score. Saving my score. I know I'm a fast guy. Alright, let's get back to the good code. That'll do. We got more important things to work on. So we're losing our icons. I wonder why. We'll work on that next. Oh, you know what? I bet they're just being squished onto like line 2 or something. Width of 0. Interesting. Okay. So these guys need to control child size of some sort. We can work with that. That should do it. Well, maybe not looking at these other ones. Okay. Oh, it's because I had overrides on all of them, I guess. Alright, we golden. Let's see here. So that should be good for now. Let's make sure all displays correctly. Cool, we got our resources back. We'll get scaling working later because that's boring to do on stream. Can do a little bit of the top bar. And then let's work on this text box. Get it looking nice. We've also got some bugs to fix there. So we're just going to copy the same background we have here. Make sure it's consistent across both. Paste values. Cool, we got a little bit of the blue coloring. Oh, still in play mode. Whoopsies. And might make it either a little taller or maybe we just decrease the font size on these guys. That'll do. Easy peas. Alrighty. Now, importantly, this text box is probably very important because that's where players going to be looking. What if there was a feature similar to Shogun 2 where you can type something like defense and your guys would move into a defensive motion and would do less damage but can tank more damage? An attack could lower defense and improve damage. You know, issuing text commands like that would actually be really cool. Oh, just realized I reverted all my data on what unit was here. But no, that would be really cool. I think I need to add like states to units or like stances or something to let players decide what stance they would be in that way, if they'd be like more offensive or more defensive. But definitely I think there's something in there of like, I mean, the whole game loop is typing words, typing to destroy the enemy base or destroy units or do whatever. It makes a lot of sense to have a few words that you could type that would have some like control for the player. That'd be cool. Maybe we can get this UI wrapped up and so we can get back into the game code, and then that might be a good time to look at like what could the player do here. Because I was thinking about like you could add multiple lanes or like maybe some like upgrades or something, or something that maybe it's nice to control by text instead of having to click around or like do command shortcuts. Like right now you just change the unit being spawned with 1, 2, 3, 4, but you could like type their name or something. You could also do something like type group 1 and then the next guys you deploy could be a part of group 1. Yeah. One thing I do want to make sure is like one of the guiding principles I'd say for this game is that I want to walk that fine line between somebody being able, like the type of person who plays a typing game wants to sit down and see like here's a bunch of stuff to type. I'm just going to type it, no thoughts, and be as accurate as I can, as fast as I can. That's like layer one of playing. Is like, if you can do that, you should be able to win against like the computer or something. But in thinking of multiplayer, I think it would be really cool to layer in like some strategy. So the person who wins isn't necessarily always just like the fastest or most accurate typist. They're probably like 90th percentile there, but have good strategy too, so they can be reacting to these things and like making decisions while they're typing, which is really, really hard to do. And it's those decisions that I think would fit really well into this idea of typing inputs. So if you decide like, oh, I need to deploy a force field or something temporarily because I'm getting swarmed up, maybe you type in force field and you get that for like 5 seconds or something so you can rebuild your army. Or maybe you could type wait and all your guys will hang around by your base and then group up that way, and then you could type attack and they all go off. That could be cool. I like that idea. I think obviously it's really, really hard to give the player a lot of control over what's going on in the background over like the RTS side, while also basically limiting them to just keyboard because you don't want them taking their hands off the home row, and just giving them a single text box to type into. But I think that could make a lot of sense. Seeing this health is off center again. Health, move down. So yeah, I also really like the wait and attack, or like defend and attack, because just the way the nature of the game is right now, you have your units auto spawning, which kind of just sends them a steady stream. I think it would be really cool to be able to have that choice to maybe group up, maybe spawn a couple of these guys and then a couple of these guys and a couple of these guys all grouped up, and then send them all off together. The force field idea sounds cool. Yeah, that could probably be nice. I want to eventually add some like races and stuff, so you have a little bit of different ways to play, and obviously give them some abilities. Like force field could make a lot of sense for someone, or other things like that. Or if you think of like a classic tower defense game or something, you could lean towards that way too. Lots of stuff to be done. Alright, let's go grab these units that disappeared. We've got our Archmagus unit. We've got our Sharpshooter unit. And our Golem. Let's make sure those populate correctly on game load. They do not. Alrighty, that's fine, that's fine. We'll fix it. I bet, yeah, it's just loading all this stuff and not the image, because we don't have the image saved on the actual prefab. Let's just add it to the prefab, I guess. If you want to go with the nations or groups design, you could make different troops belonging to different nations. They could be fighting different nations, and nations that aren't fighting. I'm sure you're typing. I'm following. Or they could be fighting different nations and nations that aren't fighting. Yeah. Maybe there should be some sort of, not meta progression, but like, I have these very short battles, I'd say, where you win or lose a battle in 3 to 5 minutes based on typing. And I guess after that battle, it doesn't really do anything. So you're not like gaining land into a new territory or making an enemy weaker or stronger or anything. So maybe that's something that would make sense to add, because that could also happen between these battles. So you have a lot more time to do like a strategy phase or like make higher level decisions versus like trying to do all that in the middle of a battle when you're just typing and typing and typing. There might be a good time to have like a point of relief where the player can chill for a minute, pause, make some decisions, and be like, all right, now this is the next nation I want to attack. Or see a list of like, oh, if I attack these guys, I'll get this reward. If I attack these guys, I'll do this. It could be nice. Can switch troops between each other. Yeah, I think my nature is to just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding more, and just keep expanding this game loop. And I'm always trying to tell myself, like, hey, chillax, like, go back and make it better. Don't add to it. I think those are the two ways that a lot of people do game dev. And I think, I mean, obviously there's a point of diminishing returns at some point where, like in these UIs right here, like, I kind of improved them a little bit. They're significantly better than they were, which I think is really good. But if I were to keep spending more and more time on them, I'm going to get less and less returns on that time spent. I just need to keep reminding myself to go back and improve those things versus just keep adding more and more. So I'm going to try and get this like battle really fleshed out, make it really fun to have this sort of like word war. And then I think that once that's fun, once that's like something that people want to just load up their browser and jump on over to, play a quick one, maybe play a couple, then that'd be a great time to be like, all right, what can we do with this? What can we do with an overworld? How can we make some strategic decisions between matches? That sounds cool. There could be missions where you have to hold out in significant locations like a city or a town. That's a great idea. I think I was already thinking of some different ways to appeal to like different types of typists. So like a lot of people are really fast, but they're not accurate. And a lot of people are really, really accurate, but they're not really fast. And I think there's some opportunity in like the races you choose. Like maybe there's a type of unit or a race or something that every time you mess up a word, all of your units get a little weaker or something, but they're all really strong to start with. So if you're really, really accurate, you're probably good and want to use that race, like play that way. Or maybe there's a race that like spawns a mini unit every time you destroy an enemy unit. So if you're typing really, really fast or something, you're getting a lot of units. Lots of stuff. When you think about like the types of players that are playing, you usually want to have some sort of like specified or specific game loops that they can specialize into, that really, really highlights how they want to play. So I think when you talk about missions that you have to hold out in significant locations, I think that's a really cool idea for like letting players get a taste of other ways to play, or like specifically seeking out these kinds of locations. Like if you had a location that's just like a hordes of enemies just come in and it's how long can you last, I think people that are really accurate and people that are really fast are both going to go to that and like test their skills and see like, all right, how long can I hold this location? Or can I hold it long enough to take it over? Or whatever. There's probably other types of locations that would be like a way of playing that would be really, really cool to add in, I think. If you win or lose those battles, you can have a limit to your people or troops. One of the beginner faction group that has smaller names you can type. Oh yeah, like I mean, that's a cool idea. Like recruiting new types of units. Like if you maybe go to a neighboring faction and you can do something for them, like help them out, hold this stronghold or something, they could reward you with like now you can spawn archmages or something, and now you can take that to another kind of battle. Another addition to those battles is forests. You can't see the enemy, but they can see you, and vice versa. Yeah, now you're talking. Like different types of maps with different like impact on the gameplay. Like let me get these images back in place, but yeah, I could see like a desert map where I can't show off the types of images here, but you can also spawn like a giant golem. He might be extra slow in the desert because he can't walk through sand or something. So there's a little bit like you're still playing the same game. There's just slightly modifiers. I like that. I think anything that the player can immediately know, like they can keep playing the same way. They just need to slightly tweak something. Is a really cool addition where it adds depth to the game, but not complexity. Muddy or stormy terrain where everyone is slower. Yeah, you can limit some vision there. I've got a asset over here that I was potentially going to add in later with some fog of war, so maybe you don't necessarily see the enemy's units until they get to you. So it's a little bit more of just like, I mean, the tension comes from the enemy's units swarming you. So if you can't see them until they get to like here, you're going to have a lot more concentrated tension of like, now they only need to go from here to destroy your base versus all the way over here where you can kind of plan a little bit more and do that strategy. Places which have shown a battle has already happened with lots of barricades and the bodies of those who were there before you. Yeah, that'd be cool. I bet I could also just leave some bodies behind and reuse some locations so you could see your own units from previous battles. I'm going to need to look into what's going on. Clearly somebody's not attacking somebody here. Or we're just doing ridiculously low amounts of damage, which might be it. But it sure looks like they're not attacking us. So I wonder if their attack range is too low. Let me check that out real fast. Attack range of 1. I bet that's too low. Let's throw in attack range 2 and see what goes on. Surely they'll kill all our boys now. Oh, they are attacking. They just do so little damage. Okay. So blobs do... right, 0.1 damage. And everybody else does like 10. Alright. Give them the 10x there. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh, right. Getting these images to display correctly. So let me do that. This is for... why is the Stone Guard base called Blitzkrieg? Actually, maybe I should have a how to play thing in there. Every time you play, your base and the enemy base gets a hard word. And so doesn't do a lot when you're playing against a computer because they're not going to be typing. Well, maybe they could be typing your base. But if you see, the enemy is Exogenesis over here. So if I type it, it does a little bit of damage to them. They could do the same to us, and it just like skips over the units. But the words are meant to be so hard. Like if you just focused on doing that, you probably wouldn't be destroying enough of their units and they would swarm you. So there's a little bit of strategy there too, of like a Vecidarian. And I guess we're not clearing that out properly when we type it, but yeah, they just end up swarming you when you focus on their base. But it is a nice way to do a little bit of damage, like from afar. I'm still going to add in all the animations of like when I type in verisimilitude or whatever, however you pronounce it, it'll fire off like a rocket from my base to their base and do that damage. So it'll be a little bit more obvious, but for now it's just doing that instant damage. And maybe what we could do is on your base, we can just slowly change the color of each letter, like to yellow or something, to signify the enemy is typing it. So you can kind of see, oh, in about 4 seconds or so, I'll take a little bit of damage and they can fire over a rocket or whatever. But it kind of will mirror that, I'd say. And that might also be an easy way to educate the player on like, oh, what the heck just happened to my base? It looked like somebody typed it. Wonder what happens if I type on theirs and you see the same. Is there anything like a currency for when you win a battle? Then you can use one-time use items like cannons? There is not, but I'm not opposed to it. I mean, especially in a single-player game where it's like you're just going to play and have fun. Like, I know some people love like saving up that currency and maybe going ham on one big base or one big battle or something. It's just hard to balance around, but I think it'd be fun. Like, I think that adds replayability too, where you have some sort of almost meta progression of like, there's stakes for winning or losing here versus just, oh, I lost. All right, time to retry. You want to win so that you get a reward that you can spend as a currency, which I would say is a good design. Alrighty, let's get these images in. Where did I just add? Oh, these are prefabs. These aren't scriptable objects. Oh, okay. So it's literally just the object respawning. Okay, that's fine. So let's add our Archmagus. We'll add a blob, which we don't have yet. That's fine because we're not showing it in the UI. Golem. Also, these are really good ideas. I really appreciate the thoughts and comments. It's been months and months since I worked on this, so I was really, really excited for it originally, and then I built it and I was like, you know, this isn't very good. But I've also learned a lot of game dev since then. So it's been fun to go back to it and be like, all right, now I know how to do stuff. So now I can just jump in and make changes and make things cooler, and it's a lot easier for me to be like, all right, yeah, I'll add a currency, I'll add an overworld, I'll do X, Y, and Z, versus being like, ooh, I wonder how long that's going to take. Is that going to be hard? Nothing wrong with being new, but I was very timid and tentative when I first started, and I was like, I just want to get the game working. I want to make it done. I want to play it. And now it's a lot easier to think bigger, which is really nice. Alright, so we got our images saved on our prefabs now. So now in our unit preview UI controller, when we load that in, we can say ref unit portrait. Let's actually make that just an image, I guess. We can say ref unit portrait dot sprite is equal to prefab unit dot display dot prefab or display image. Let's actually call this just unit portrait. Is there any OST in the game yet? Unfortunately not. We have a couple songs in Elixir Emporium. I'm no musician. It's also funny you asked that right now, because this is like one of the best songs in Chrono Trigger. The game that I said earlier was like my favorite game of all time, so wonder if this spawned that question. But I'm not a musician. I can like poke around on like Unity Asset Store for songs, but I've actually been playing around with like generating some songs with AI, which not a lot of them are great, but there's a few fun ones, and so I might poke around and grab some of those. But really, like, the big thing this game is missing is sound effects on the sound side. Like, I mean, also animations and stuff for the units, but there's, when you use like the sharpshooter firing a bow, it's completely silent. But if you heard like a arrow whistling through the air or something, that'd be so cool and so much immediately nicer, I'd say. And like when a stone guard hits another unit with a mace, like you could also do some differentiation on the sound effects of like, if he hits another stone guard, you get like a metal on metal sound, or if he hits like the leathery sharpshooter, maybe you get more like thuddy sound. Or if he hits a golem, maybe it's like metal on dirt or something. Like some interesting sounds, I think, would go a really long way. But once again, not a good sound engineer. Maybe I can record just me hitting stuff around town or around the house. You can use something like star. I believe it got censored by Twitch because it was probably a URL, but if you want to drop it in Discord, I'll check it out. I'm using Suno right now, which I think is really, really good. I actually put a lot of my old poetry through it to make some songs, which is really fun. Really cool to see like what it spits out. I'd say the quality is really, really good, even compared to like 6 months ago on their version 2. They really beefed things up. What was I doing? Oh, right. Making sure these images now load correctly. Hopefully they do. They do not. Do we have errors? We do. Because I didn't set the reference to unit portrait, I bet. So in here, unit portrait is null. That's correct. So which one of these guys? Unit image. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so now I got our images back. Cool. We still need to do like actual real images. But it's cool to see our golems come out. They've got the big words. Gargantuan. Cacophony. Inquisitive. Chalice, I guess. Not really that hard of a word. But it's kind of fun to have different word lists for each unit, and I'm excited to do a like alien race that is all Swedish words or something, because I'm learning some Swedish and it'd be fun to get good at typing the words that I know that way. But I think all of our UI is actually working again and looks good enough. So we're going to work on this text box next, and we will style that up, and then we can get back to gameplay. So let's take a look at how things are looking on this guy, because it is a god-awful text box, I'd say. We probably want it styled a lot nicer. So what we're going to do is try that. Let's make a text box container with a nice background. Maybe even like that. Let's see if we can potentially get something a little nicer. Let's do even, can we do like 32 by 9? Will that even work? That's fine. We'll just see what we get. But we'll want to do some sort of container that can layer the text input field into. And then we'll get rid of this like white background, I'd say. We'll make the text bigger, we'll center it. We'll chisel away, we'll make it better. So this guy really, we need input field. Can we center that? Text. Placeholder. Okay. .36 size. I feel like maybe we auto size both of these guys. Is that too big? Surely not. Maybe it is. Let's see what we got here. Okay. We can work with something like that. This is a nice, like, consistent brightness all the way around, so it'd probably make a nice border. Let's grab that. This is quite the song. Yeah, that looks good. So we can say even spacing all the way around. Let's go ahead and need to make the text nice and light so that we can make this less transparent. That might end up being too big, but surely it's fine for now. Reposition it somewhere nice. Let's go ahead and turn off these stats panels so we can see. Centered. Let's bring it down to connect maybe. If I were more of an artist, I'd put it here and have some sort of like connecty bits. But it's fine for now. Just something like that. And this gives us enough like border and font size that one thing that I was probably gonna do is when you type in a word, flash whether you were correct or not. So if you type in shadow and it destroys something, flashes green for a second, maybe do some fireworks or something just so you can see at a glance, because there are times, like if you look at this guy in the front, maybe like Ninja or something, sometimes the unit gets destroyed when you're typing the word, which is unfortunate. And so we've got a little bit of code to like track previous units for a few seconds, just so you don't sit there with like, if the word was shadow, and by the time you finished typing it, that unit had destroyed. As a player, you saw a shadow unit, so when you type shadow, it should submit that and clear your text box and everything. But there's no unit there, so maybe that's when you flash it red a little bit to say like, okay, you did the word, but it's already gone, and then you clear it instead of starting to type the next word, and now you're like, all right, now I want to type flame, and it looks like, I mean, shadow flame sounds pretty cool, but yeah. Let's see here. We want this placeholder to be wildly less white. And really we only want to show it like at the very beginning, I think. But let's could do some orange maybe. Maybe something like that. We say type enemy words to destroy them. It's too long, but maybe we could say just like destroy or type enemy words, and then the player's like, all right, what the heck does that do? They type a word, they see that unit explodes, so it's pretty obvious what happens. I do wish, I mean, in the nature of a good typing game, you can kind of look ahead for the next word. And you can kind of do that here with like units walking on the battlefield, but it's not the same because you don't necessarily know, in the same way that you don't know that the unit your word is typing for now will still be there when you finish the word. You don't know that the next unit will also be there. But it's probably fine for now. I want to give this more of a frame or border as well, just to kind of tie things in. Something like that gives it a little nicer highlight, I think. So we could probably actually raise it up a bit now, keep it separate. I guess it's not really logically connected to the units. All right, so that might be it on UI. Let's do a game. Let's see how it feels. It's so big and like janky. There's still some collision problems, I think, with some of these units. They're supposed to wait until they're turning the right direction before they start walking, so maybe we just need to increase the radius in which they spawn around this brain. Maybe. But this looks not great, but I might leave it for now. I'm gonna limit the placeholder size a bit though. So we'll go like 64 maybe, or maybe even like 54. Yeah, that'll work for now. Maybe even, no, 54 is good. Okay, so let's get into some bugs, because I know there are plenty. We've seen collision problems, attacking problems. The text box doesn't clear when you type the enemy base word. I think maybe that's the first one we should clear, because that's probably the most egregious bug. So let's jump into that. Let's see what we're working with. So we've got our input field. Do not have a script on it, so we're going to hunt down what's going on. We've got our human player controller that listens for keystrokes. But every frame we check to see if a word was completed by just checking the text box word. This should probably check the enemy base's word too, right? Yeah, it does. It doesn't, because we're returning number of units destroyed. Let's say number of units damaged, and let's also increment it here. So now it will complete a word when you hit an enemy base, so it should clear the text box just fine. Let's double check that. Xenophobically. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, the smaller placeholder looks so much nicer. And you know what? We will make one small change. I'm putting in an exclamation point. Sense of urgency. Alright, so that was an easy fix. That was a lot easier than I thought. Well, we still need to rig up the difficulty select screen, but I think we can wait on there because we need to re-architect some of like how we're storing the data to pass it between scenes. And if we're considering adding like an overworld or something later, it might make sense to hold off on that re-architecting until we know what we're doing. Let's see here. What do we want to do? We could add more units if we get some more models. Let me play a game, see if we hit any egregious bugs. Like actually this guy, I'm pretty sure I remember him not... Yeah, he doesn't get destroyed. Let's figure out what's going on with him. And I believe it's because he's not registered as an enemy unit. He's a P's. Let's try that again. He's just a guy that we have at the start for new players, just so they can get that first unit slowly walking towards them. Okay, he gets destroyed correctly. Alright, one thing that we do need to change, I'd say, is the focus on this text box, because it gets really terrible if you ever lose focus. You need to press enter to refocus it. I think we should just refocus it automatically. There's no reason you should ever lose focus on it, I'd say. So we're gonna throw that in our human player controller script, and really we're just gonna cool input field is focused, and if they press enter or the input field is not focused, then we will focus it. They can press enter to clear it. So if you're like mid-word and you're like, I don't want to type this anymore, you just press enter and it re-clears it. Alright, so now it's focused. I click out, it refocuses every time. Awesome. I'd say it was a big question mark when players were like, yo, why can't I type? It's because they clicked out on the map or something. I think we want to add more units maybe. Or maybe design the level a little more. We could actually improve the UI on the words, because they overlap a bunch, but I kind of think that that's kind of like the strategy a little bit, especially if later, if we can say like wait in our units wait here, so you can clump them up really good and then attack to send them. Oh, I guess that was a word. Can we defend? They're coming in. I do think our words per minute is insanely wrong. We will fix that another time, but you know, could be worse. It'd be nice if we could select the enemy race as well, so we can get back to like our mirror match too if we prefer. Let's go ahead. Maybe what we do is finish up the stuff that we started earlier. We rig up all these new scenes real fast, and we think about how we want to pass through like the difficulty settings. So let's just start. Let's go back to our title. Fancy schmancy title. We've got 2 buttons here, 2 scenes they correspond with, so let's just create a little script for them. How to play, let's say how do we want to store this? We could have a like load scene on click that has a scene name. We can set that as an on click on the button maybe. So how to play gets load scene on click. Right. I think that'll work for the parameters. What does it need? Oh, load scene. Okay. So how to play will load instructions scene. Let's just double check that that works real fast. Oh, because we didn't add it to the build. Alrighty. Project settings, build settings. Add all these nice scenes. Oh yeah, I guess we didn't end up using Slim UI. Let's delete that. Alrighty, title screen, add that, make it our first scene, so that's the scene that loads by default. Let's add our instruction scene. Let's add our difficulty select screen and our race select screen. Don't think we'll use that quite yet, but good to have them all. So let's go back to title. Let's test this now. Should work. All right, cool. It's not the best tutorial because you always want to have tutorials like next to the actual UI elements or whatever. So when we had, what do we got here? This tutorial here actually worked really well because all the text is next to what they're talking about. This is about units. This is about stuff on the battlefield. This is next to your resources, etc. So we lose some of that by moving it to its own scene, but I think that's a fair price to lose for now. We'll bring it back later. We'll improve it. We need a back button on this scene, or maybe we just click to go back on this scene. We'll just do that. So we will say natural back button. And we'll say, yeah, I mean, I guess we can, let's do a different script. Load scene when clicking anywhere. Because we don't necessarily want to be listening for a click on the other script. So here we can basically do the same thing, but we're just gonna, in the update function, check to see if the user is clicking. And if they are, load the scene. That's actually exactly perfect. So now we can say, when you click at all on this scene, you get sent back to the title screen. But I'm realizing we're on the wrong scene here. So let me cut this guy and move him over to our instruction scene. We'll just make a new one. Natural back button, same thing, same script. This guy loads title screen whenever you click anything at all. Let's go back to our title screen, kill that, and double check that everything's routing back and forth. How to play, cool. Click anywhere at all, sends you back. Okay, cool. So on start game, what we're gonna do is probably send you to just the difficulty select, since we don't have the races rigged up quite yet. But I would like, I mean, it'd be nice if you could choose the enemy too, because we do have 2 enemies already. And they're definitely different vibes. If you want a cozy typing game, you're not going to go against the fleshy balls of meat, probably. So we could have like a choose your enemy, but they're all kind of the same effectively. Let's see what it looks like when we start making this into an enemy select screen instead. And I'm gonna use this cool website from the 1990s, cooltext.com. Makes great text. Choose your enemy, size 200. We'll steal that. It's used for like generating logos for companies and stuff, but it makes for some great UI in games. So now we'll stick that in. Maybe we will use this scene. So we're gonna head to enemy select. Cool, cool, cool. Drop this guy in instead. And maybe here we can just say a couple of these bad boys. Oof. We'll redesign that, I guess, but we'll just work with 2 for now. I mean, I guess we could kind of combine difficulty and enemy into one menu here. Because we probably originally or eventually do want to have like a more complex menu of like select their race, select their difficulty, select any other modifiers, maybe select the word lists you want to use. So we could even do like easy Terran, medium Terran, hard Terran, and then our Zerg or something. Wonder if TextMesh Pro has drop downs. Drop down. Just gonna play with this, see what we can do with it. Sprites. What do those look like? Okay, well we could do just a simple difficulty drop down here. Or alternatively, we could do a drop down for the races on our difficulty screen. Guess I'm trying to think through if we want to have enemy select right now, because we don't really have a lot of like depth to that. It might be worth it to just go back to our mirror enemy and add more units there. But we do eventually want both like enemy select and player select. So we do eventually want this sort of framework. It's just, do we want to add it now when kind of splits players into less content each path versus one path that's nice and fleshed out? I think what we're gonna do is go back to our mirror match for now. Maybe we can, I mean, our brain race literally only has one unit. Little suspicious that all these images are now gone. I bet it's from me using the wrong frame. Yeah, maybe we go back to the mirror match for now. We'll add a new race in like a bigger update, I'd say. We can add new base, new units. Hopefully by then we'll have more of like our tech tree stuff figured out on how we want to do stuff on this race, but we can have it at least more fleshed out. But let me check and see what went wrong here. Okay, everything's broken, but I bet it's because we have frames on top of these that I deleted the sprite for. Frame, missing sprite, yeah. Oopsies. Right, I deleted. That's fine. We'll disable these frames for now. Missing frame, yeah. Alright, well we can work with that. Let's go back and enemy base. Let's get our keep back. Disable the Zerg base design and the brain. Let's put that in there, I guess. So we will say base design Terran. That's where we'll put our keep. But that's where we will have all that stuff stored. And we apply our blue texture to us, our red texture to them. Cool. Let's give them some minerals too, I suppose. Just kind of make the battlefield look a little nicer. I guess we could set up our drones, like our harvesting people too. Where did I put? Downloaded. Crystals. Just trying to get that nice zigzag on the actual game view. So they're going to be a little bit off. That'll do. Maybe we can move our camera a tad. Try and center things a little bit better. And I suppose we moved away from the blob. We'll bring back our easy stone guard tutorial guy and add him back to the enemy units. Yo, what's up? Is this Word Wars? Hell yeah. This is Word Wars. Let me give you a little run around. Let's see what we got here. So here's where it was before we started. You're just right into it, right into the fray. We start a hard game, we lose, but we'll try. You gotta press enter to open the text box. You gotta press enter again to submit the text box. So it's not really typing so much as just chatting over and over again like it was in StarCraft. You press 1, 2, 3, 4 to change the unit you're spawning. You got your resources up here. When you kill an enemy unit, you get the resources that they spent to make that unit, so you got some back and forth tug of war. You can type Jesus. You can type the enemy base word to do a little damage to it. Fluxinahilification. Nailed it. We got explosions on units. We got a nice system to be able to add and remove units really easily. What else we got? We got stats on units, which is kind of not the best UI. You can spawn golems. Look at that guy go. Oh. Yepers, I pressed Control W. W moves the camera up, and I don't remember why I was holding Control. But whoopsies. That's where the game was. Now we are in way cooler cinematic land. We got new UI. We got new units. Apparently he's still spawning blobs, which I forgot to disable. And oh god, everything is broken. Apparently nothing submits anymore. Oh. Somebody's missing a magic word. But yeah, we got an orthographic camera now, so it's prettier. We can adjust that some more. We got new UI. We fixed a few bugs. Little dude, you should put some crowd noise in the background. That's a great idea. The crowd celebrates it if you submit an incorrect word. They should celebrate when you submit a correct word, right? This game screams viral Twitch trend, LOL. I know this crowd cheer is a good idea because we used to play a form of this in Spanish class in high school. We would cheer if someone from another team typed wrong, and it really turned up the... You know, that's a good idea. I was actually planning on adding, like, I mean, obviously it could be a really easy switch to multiplayer, but I think it would be really cool to have some sort of Twitch integration where every new user, like you link it to your Twitch stream, and every new user in the chat spawns a base, and every word that they type in the chat, yeah, like this, it spawns units going towards you. So like all of your chatters have bases around you and all their units are coming towards you. And they could probably type like multi-word messages in the chat, and it breaks it down into a unit for each word, and so you just get swarmed. I think that'd be cool. Would probably be cool. What if it was chat versus chat typing? Yeah, I mean, that's your 1v1 mode right there. If I say, yo, 1v1 me, I get this guy, you get this guy, I can spawn my units, you can spawn your units. Or maybe, yeah, I mean, you could also do kind of the reverse of have a bunch of enemies that are all coming towards you, and instead of you as a player typing the words, you could let your chat type all the words and destroy all the units. I don't know exactly how all the Twitch integrations work, but surely you can pull all that from just the chat. But we were rigging up new scenes so we can actually flow from the start screen. But we have a unit somewhere who ain't got a magic word. So everything is broken. Enemy base. Well, you definitely shouldn't be spawning blobs. You can spawn archmages, sharpshooters, stone guards, and you know what? You can spawn golems too. Let's see if everything breaks now that we've got stuff back in place. So if I type, we're already getting errors, so probably not. Okay, so what's the deal? Somebody's not got a word. Pause. Who does not have... Nobody has... Wait. Why are there blobs? They are the ones without a word, but why are they spawning? Okay, none start in the scene. Enemy base does not have blob as a spawn thing. Spawn option. Base design does not have blobs. Keep does not spawn blobs. Why are you spawning blobs? Wait, player base can spawn blobs. That ain't it. Shouldn't happen. Oh boy. Wait, why even does the player base have an AI player controller script on it? Did I apply some changes on accident? Alright, we should be good now. Let's try this. Suspicious. Apparently I broke everything. The player base does not have an owner. Interesting. Interesting. I'm so confused. How did this just work 5 minutes ago and now everything is broken? Player controller, which is a parent class to both AI player controller and human player controller. Player base is owned by the player controller, human player controller down here, which has a word list, does not have any enemy players, so wait, what? I think our AI player controller somehow moved from this to this, which is what I just deleted off of it. So let's add it back, I guess. AI player controller, spawnable units. That, well, lock. That. Let's put stone guard up first. Not that it matters, but nice to have that. They have the tutorial stone guard already. They have a building of enemy base. Spawn focal point should be spawn point for the enemy base. Fuzziness, let's go see what the player's fuzziness is. C of 10, sure. Wordless database. Enemy players, just one, the player. And we'll give them 50 of every resource. And these settings get set by the difficulty, so that works. Alrighty. Getting closer. We still need to add the enemy as an enemy to the player. Player also doesn't have any buildings, interestingly. So a lot of our references just like unset, weirdly enough. Local player is us. Enemy players is just the enemy. Okay. So, does this work? Units are spawning again. Our units also spawning. No errors. We are spawning the correct units. Cool. Can we... We can destroy enemy units. Not the tutorial unit though, interestingly. Cool. And we can damage the enemy base. Okay, so what's up with the tutorial unit? Enemy base, owned units, this guy. To remove this. This is unit controller here. Owner. Oh, we didn't set the owner. Okay. Easy, easy. Enemy is the player. Okay. Alright. One last thing to test. Can we destroy this guy? We can. Alright, that's our units. Now it's easy. Nailed it. Alright. Still need to fix these stats, which are now hilariously wrong. But, you know what? The game itself works. We could add some effects. Is there anything we need? I mean, we want to store, like, stats and stuff, too. Ooh, gotta remove that frame, too. Okay. Maybe we add our workers. Why not? You know what we should do is finally finish rigging up these. So we just need difficulty select rigged up because we skipped out on race select and enemy select. So let me stash those away. Difficulty, enemy and race. So when you click Start Game, we'll send you over to Difficulty Select. And then on difficulty select, we'll set up click events for each of these, which effectively call these three functions, although instead of setting those properties on the enemy base directly, we really need to store the difficulty somewhere, load the battle scene, and then when the battle scene loads, that'll check the stored difficulty and set these accordingly. So we will do that in a moment. I'm going to take a quick water and restroom break, and I will be right back. Thanks for hanging out, my friends. We got fun stuff ahead. Be right back. We're back. Also, I just saw Amazon's making a TV adaptation of Yakuza Like a Dragon. That is the game I'm playing currently. That should be pretty cool. I liked their Fallout adaptation and whatever other thing I just watched. So I'm pretty pumped for that. Apparently starting shooting this fall. Huh. That'll be cool. Didn't know that. Alrighty. Let's go to our title screen. When you click Start Game, we will send you over to Difficulty Select. We'll add the enter function later, I guess. Or you know what? We can just say we'll add it later. It's not that important. So now on the difficulty select screen, what we're going to do is add click events to each of these three, which will set our difficulty, send us off into the battle scene. And this is where we will display win-loss records at each difficulty, I think. Maybe that's a good way to do it. So we're going to use, I think, Unity's local storage, which I've never used before. So that'll be fun. What we can do, let's go ahead and say scoreboard loader. Let's use this to figure out how this interface works with local storage. Because we can just store wins, losses in this as well. I know it's super easy for users to just literally open it up and edit the values, but in a single player game that doesn't really matter outside of just like if somebody's going to be taking screenshots or something, I guess. But we can say public text mesh pro UGI. We want a reference to each of these, so we got our student score scores label, typist, and master. I'm gonna sneeze once. Never comes when you say it, but it's on the tip of my nose. Typist. Say score display. And master. So when we start, we will go ahead and say load scores from the player prefs. Cool. Cool. Student score. We want to say student wins. So this is how we'll fetch it, and it's a default of 0 if we don't have anything stored. And then we can say student score display.text is equal to NW M loss. Then we'll do the same for typist and master. And we just need to make sure that the key matches up. At the end of the game, when we compute win or loss, we check the current difficulty and we set it. If they won on student difficulty, we set student wins +1, something like that. But that should work. Obviously, it's pretty hard to test here when everything is just exactly what it is currently. So we'll leave that for now. We can come back and test it later. Let's go ahead and set our references here. Text. Let's just rename these to scoreboard or score. And we could do some sort of like currency too when you win or lose. I think Charles mentioned that earlier, so that would be pretty cool. You could also see some currency here too. You're not seeing my screen. Yep, that would be me forgetting to switch that after the break. Welcome back. Thank you for letting me know. All we did was write a little code to run. When this scene loads, we pull our data out of storage. Thank you. And so we got to make sure that we're matching these keys with what we're going to do in a minute for saving those wins or losses. But first, let's go ahead and on these guys, we'll have set difficulty. And we can give that a difficulty key. that will be set of error by default. But we can say void, click void, set difficulty, and load battle. So that's what we'll use on our button. Thank you, Dimitri. So now, on each of these, we can set a difficulty key for student. Let's make them all lowercase, I guess. Typist and master. And then for each of their buttons, we can call set difficulty and load battle. So that'll store the difficulty into the player prefs and then load the battle where we can retrieve that in the next scene. This song is going wild. What is this? Sounds Final Fantasy-ish. How do I just get back to home? Okay, so these should work. We got student, typist, and master. Cool, cool, cool. Those match to our student, typist, and master keys. Here we will store the difficulty in player prefs. And then load the battle scene. Cool, cool, cool. It's actually... oh, it is called battle. Okay. Wow. And we'll keep rolling. So in our... well, let's make sure that this transitions us correctly with no errors. This is fine. We click typist, sets it, sends us to battle scene. Why is this so dark? I mean, I kind of like it, but I don't understand why it's so dark. Interesting. Battle. Definitely not that dark when we just load it directly. And it's not just the lighting bin on or off. That's interesting. I mean, we do want to add the dynamic lighting. It's just a little weird that, wonder if we have something persisting between the scenes or something. But we'll come back to that because it's not game breaking. I just don't understand why it's doing that. Here though, in our game manager maybe, could restart the game. That's not what we want to do. Maybe on our enemy base on start. That's where we can pull the difficulty from player prefs and set our parameters accordingly. So let's go look and see where that was. Prepare easy game. So basically we're going to take these and set them here based on what we stored in the previous scene. And they were called student, typist, and master. So we take these guys. This is for this object, so good to go there. Break, of course, and we'll do the same. So this should bring back the difficulties that we lost when we changed all the UI. Are we missing spawn cooldown on master? Huh, I guess we were. Interesting. So tutorial controller also had some functionality to unpause the game and remove itself and focus the text field. We don't start paused. We don't need to reshow or hide it, and we don't need to activate the text field, so we're good to go to lose that as well. This is for resizing the tutorial, I guess, but don't need to worry about that. Alright, let's give a spawn cooldown. Even on master. So this is how often they spawn units. This is how long to wait before the first unit spawn. How often they destroy one of your units, in the same way that you can type their unit's word and destroy it. They can also destroy one of your units. And how long until they destroy their first unit. So I think on student, let's make it a little bit easier. Let's give them a longer cooldown before the next spawn. This is probably fine. We probably want to do more playtesting before we tweak this. But here, I kind of want to, I can win sometimes. Well, I guess we have been playing without testing difficulties that much. So we're going to leave all this as is. We'll play it a little bit with different difficulties to test it out. But what we need to do is handle the end of game. One, we got to send players back to the difficulty screen. Maybe we add replay this difficulty or change difficulty buttons. Maybe we also show our score on the end scene. But I want to see if our difficulties are getting set correctly. So what I'm going to do is go here and go to student. It should be really obvious that this is easy mode. Still very dark for whatever reason. I kind of like it. I wonder what happens if we add a point light. Or I wonder if our directional light is just okay. Interesting. We can work with that, but if I were to pause this light, point light. throw it in some yonder. Big range. Unpause. Where are you at, my point light? Okay, it does highlight the units. I guess the terrain doesn't light up as much, but so we do have dynamic lighting in the scene. So maybe it is just the directional light isn't quite acting the way I expect. But we can do some dynamic lighting later too. That'd be cool. But yeah, that was obviously student. It was very, very easy. Let me try master. Should be very obviously difficult. Hopefully. Yeah, I would say this looks a lot more difficult. So curious why it's... We do have Dewtween coming through. Surely that's not the reason why things are dark. But cool, we are getting stomped now. So, what we want to do next is this end of battle scene, or load panel, that's the word. Let's redesign it first, but we'll split our play again button into, let's say, try again, and then maybe another button for change difficulty. And we'll also add our like win-loss on this difficulty as a string. So it's nice to see all those new panels worked. Let's go ahead and commit what we got, because things do be getting weird, changing when they shouldn't. New title screen, difficulty, select, and lots of other screen stuff. Smiley face. Sorry about the commit message. Alrighty, so... And there's no Dewtween on this scene, though. Where is it coming from? I guess we should probably put a back button on this to get back to the title screen, but it's fine for now. Maybe let's add it to the Word Wars logo we have. We'll do an image so we can raycast to it. So if you click up here, we will send you back. Load scene on click. Scene name is title. Add that is a callback to call when you click here. We make the sprite transparent, and ta-da, this now sends you back to the title screen. Okay, so let's go look at that UI for after the battle, because it is terrible. End of game panel. Perfect, perfect. I can't remember if we built this for a game jam or not, but I remember that I was really excited to build the typing game, and I finished that and I was like, oh, I probably need like stats and stuff, because people like seeing stats. I like seeing numbers go up, but it's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the typing. So I threw this together the very last second and was like, all right, we're good. So let's nix it. UI, image, background. We will remove this image. which should be fine because we don't need that raycast. So now here we can find one of our nicer backgrounds. Maybe one in landscape orientation. But we could always do some janky stuff and just rotate it. Or you know what, let's just go get a landscape one. That'll do. That's a good one. Got some nice areas. Word Wars, end panel. Grab that. I don't know if you guys can hear Lucy snoring in the background, but she's going ham. We also have Dimitri snoring in my lap, so it's cozy stream to the max. End panel. Let's bring that in. Convert it to a sprite. And let's use that so we don't get this weird stretching. End panel. Alright, so we probably want a frame on this, but it is better. It's probably even better if we don't stretch it quite so much. So maybe let's... Oh, right, yeah. Bring it in a little bit. 230, 230. One sec. Okay. So on top of the background, we also want to render a frame. But we don't have a good transparent frame apparently, so we won't do that yet. Alright, so let's organize some of this info. And I'm going to try and maximize, well, this way, so we can kind of get more of a sense of the scale it'll be on the screen. These are very poorly organized and anchored. But most important info, we're going to go straight to the front. Words per minute and accuracy. Put our victory nice and centered up here. We could do a border on it, or maybe we could just do a shadow. Yikes, that's not at all. So now we centered that. That looks fine. Could be better, but I guess we'll also want to update the text of the shadow when we show the screen, but we can do that. Otherwise it'll say victory shadow and say like you lose with the actual text. Let's see here. Let's get some of this other junk out of the way. Yeah, that's interesting. Alright, words per minute. Nice white text on that. Label back in the blue. Accuracy. Again, let's do white text on the important bit, the highlight. Blue. Let's make sure both of these are centered. We're going to do that by anchoring them to the center and then moving them that way. We might rotate those a little bit, but looks good. All right, play again button. We'll do something with. But let's get more stats organized because I feel like these can be insanely smaller. Like it's 108, we could go like 30. Like 24, maybe 18 even. This song is a bop. Never heard it before, but kind of going hard. Alright, maybe we do some like aligning on this panel here. And let's go ahead and do an off-white for these slightly less important things. But maybe we can bold them or something. Make them... It's kind of hard to read the blue on blue. Save those as swatches so we can get them. Alright, so unit types. What the heck were we doing with that? Okay, yeah, we'll do something with that later. I think it counts how many of each unit you spawned. Units destroyed. That's good info to know. So we're going to do the same thing again. We did 30 and 18. Anchored top left. Anchored bottom left. Both of these left aligned. And this guy, bring in those dimensions. Oh boy, howdy. So why... Anchored. Okay. Anchored. Sure. What we're gonna do, let's just copy component, paste component values. And let's do that for all of these. Amount, paste component values, paste component values. I feel like we can do the same with the label. We just need to change the text. So let's do that just to make sure they're all consistent. So this guy is units destroyed. This guy is by typing. And by units. We'll say by combat though. Okay, so let's also copy our transforms, make sure these are all the same. Copy scale. I want dimensions. What happens if I paste the scale? It's probably just 1, 1, 1. So maybe position is what we want. That's probably also not what we want, but maybe it'll... Yeah, it didn't even change the dimensions. That's alright. We can align stuff with our eyes, I guess. Still need to change the anchors on a lot of these too. So these guys, anchor top left. These guys, anchor bottom left. Bring in these dimensions. Can't believe I made the text so big to begin with. Alrighty. So we can now bring these guys in. We're gonna have them align a little bit differently, I think. This is more like tabbed in from units destroyed. Don't show any designers this. Please. I'm sure everything's off by like... Oh, there's so many pixels in the spacings. This guy needs even lower. That's wider. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Alright. So we see that these are like sub values of this. Surely they should add up to that. Hopefully. Lastly, our buttons. So we'll hold off on, let's just enable unit types for now. Let's see if we actually get values. I can't remember if we actually store those or not, but maybe we'll have some numbers there. Let's look at our play again button. Let's say try again. Let's get rid of this background we have. Does that blend in too much? Maybe it does. I almost want to do like a fake shadow. Let's do some black and put it before this and just do a little something. Now it's kind of like lifted off the UI. Need to center that a little bit better. And then we can do one more button that drops you back to the difficulty select. We'll do that smaller. Weird anchors. And get rid of all these like highlight colors that we have. We'll do another fake shadow on that too. Way better than it was, at least. Alright, so the things that we're missing are our win-loss on this difficulty, saying what difficulty it is. Maybe we can put that above the results. Could do something like this. Typist victory, master victory, student victory. I think that's fine. So we'll want to set that to our current difficulty. Text is still really large, but you know, it's gonna be fine. I think things will open up a little bit nicer if we do something with these, but we want to see if we actually have the data for those yet. Still need our win-loss for this difficulty. Where do we want to put that? If we made these guys a little smaller, we could have a little more room and put win-loss down here. And we could do it in orange so it's cognitively tied to the difficulty name here and kind of sandwich the result text. So maybe we do that. These guys really don't need to be 100 point. So let's go with like, that was 96, 84. That could be fine. It could even be a little smaller, especially since these guys could also be smaller. $72. So if we take this guy down now, we still want them to be like roughly centered because they're the focal point here. They're the two stats that the players should care most about. But this should be fine. Let's add a record for this difficulty. Let's bring it down. Unbold. 42 wins, 32 losses. Is that weird? 24. I hate this font, to be honest, but it'll do for now. Could put it down here. What happens if we bring this button up a little bit? That could work, actually. Difficulty select is nearby. It's all kind of difficulty related down here. And then we can bring the important stats back up. I think it's good to make them a little smaller though, as we did. There's a lot of stuff going on this, and there's no like visual hierarchy, but you know, it's better. It's better than what we had. That's all I'm asking for. All right, so let's do a quick little play. Let's see how it looks at the end of the game. Let's find out if we actually have the stats for how many of each item we spawn. So we're gonna spawn stone guards. We don't have the name. We don't have any of the descriptions and stuff. We'll have to bring that back. But yeah, we'll spawn a couple of those. I think we spawn one of this guy. Let's do no golems. We should have numbers at the end at least. So I'll just let this allegedly easy enemy. Oh, it's on hard because player prefs don't reset between games. So it's just whatever the previous difficulty was, which is fine. All right, so we losing. Right. This is what we're working with. All right, let's get our end game working. So now we have our panel is here. End of game panel. We want result text shadow. It's really kind of terrible to be doing all this way with the just string name paths, but I think it's fine for now. We're just going to make sure. The alternative is setting all these references, which is about the same, I'd say. It's not like we're going to lag at the end of the game when everything is paused. Let's see here. So we also want record for this difficulty. And that's going to be stuff we'll compute that from player prefs in a sec. Stuff. We also have, okay, so WPM amount, use the same words per minute. That seems typed word hits divided by times elapsed times 60. I feel like the words per minute is extremely wrong, so we still need to fix that. Accuracy amount, more stats container, units spawned, units destroyed, destroyed by typing, destroyed by units, unit types. Okay, so we should have actual values for these. And still need to hook up the logic on our play again, or on our difficulty select button. So instead of that, let's say load scene on click for difficulty select, I think it was called. Cool, and we'll use that instead of restarting the game. Let's see. Play again will restart the game just fine. And still need to store win or loss into player prefs. So we can do that now. So we will say store a win or loss into player prefs to track record. So we have our difficulty. Wins is going to be not that. What did we call it? Difficulty key wins. Okay. So, difficulty key plus wins and plus losses. So now our formatted record string is going to be what's the syntax for this again? I think that's right. Wins W, losses L. And so now we can just say that if we won, increment the wins. If we lost, increment the losses. We need to save that back to player prefs. We don't technically need to set both, because obviously if you win, only the wins is gonna change, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Seems fine. Everything should work perfectly now. Surely. Are we missing anything? This sends you back to the match. Let me check game manager, make sure our restart is looking fine. It just reloads the scene, alright, which reloads the last known difficulty, which is fine. Unpauses the game if it's paused, which it would be at the end of the game. Alright, so let's jump back to the title and play the game, I guess. Start game. Student. Oh, we don't have the records loading here, I bet, but we can add that in later. So let's crush them. Whippersnapper. So Lil O'Coy. We are charging in. Let's go ahead and create some stone guards too. We should be able to see those stats at the end. Enchantment, Synecdoche, Phylacteries, Providence, Hammer, Spider, Perspicaciousness. Nope. Alright, our end of... It's a pretty intense bit of UI. We might want to fade it a little bit. Oh yeah, this is a good song. Feels like I'm recruiting Robo for the first time. So we do have numbers on units spawned. All right, so we can work with that. Maybe we can just add these images now to the circles instead of just having blank circles. We have 1 win, 1 loss. Cool. Let's change difficulty. Oh, it does show here. All right, 1 win, 1 loss. Let's go ahead and go to master. Let's lose. So that's very wrong. Text isn't billboarding correctly. Nothing is spawning. There's no errors. What have we done? Why does the second battle not work? But the first battle does. And since we're using player prefs, they should now start persisting our records. But let's go into master. which works on the first battle now. Let's lose real quick. And then we can restart and see if it plays the second battle correctly. I'm wondering if this like do tween runtime mode thing is doubling up when we are going back a scene, but I don't think so. And also it does something with time.timescale, but we are using time.timescale. I wonder if it's interacting with like unpausing or something. Alright, so we lost on master. Try again. Game plays. It is really dark still, but that's because we came from the previous scene. We'll lose again here, and then we'll go back, select master, see if it has anything to do with difficulty switching. Those golems look so cool though. There's a lot of words. A lot of big words. Alright, change difficulty, back to master. It breaks again. So when we go back, something is not firing as it should. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it is one of our like plugins. So what I think I'm gonna do is probably go ham and dig off camera. I've been streaming for 3.5 hours now. We made some great progress. Just need to fix this little bug before we can push up a new update to itch.io so you guys can play it in your browser with this new version. I want to do some cool like lighting stuff and just like play around with some assets. So lots of just like tweaking stuff and fiddling around until something works. So I think I'm going to do that off stream. But I'm really happy with people popping in and asking questions earlier, and it's been a fun stream. We got a bunch of stuff done. Thank you for the follow, Charles. If you're still here, thanks for hanging around. Hope you're enjoying the game you're playing. I'll see you on Discord, and we just got a couple people here. We're chilling, so I don't think I'm gonna raid anyone this week, but it's been fun. It's been real, and it has been real fun. So thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna just throw up the wishlist link if anybody wants to wishlist Elixir Emporium on Steam. It's our big crafting RPG that we are working on most weeks. I'll probably be back to it again next week when I stream on Tuesday, Game Dev. And we also have a Discord, so if anybody is interested in games, gaming, game dev, anything, feel free to jump in there. We got a lot of cool stuff if you're getting started in game dev. We've got some AI sages that can answer questions for you. We got image generation. We got a bunch of other stuff. And most importantly, we got some friends who can answer questions and gamers who can try out what you're building or give you feedback on your idea. So lots of cool stuff to be done. I'm going to sign off for now, get some snacks, and get into some debug mode fun. It's been fun. Thank you guys, and see you next week.